know, they really just kind of have the Gladiators number. So you would have seen Bishu come in a little bit more, but Void playing tonight.
Yeah, my understanding is Bishu's actually not well today, is what I've seen on the Twitter of Gladiators. So sending him well wishes.
It's a big unlucky.
Yeah, the Gladiators definitely feeling a little bit beleaguered without his presence and leadership right now. So they take a peek out. They see they're playing Bastion. Oh god, they're playing Bastion. So now we need to see an adjustment for the Gladiators now to sort of deal with this guy. Bastion, I mean, you've probably seen him, you've probably played, in fact, he's in all ranks, to be honest, people just play him. Yeah. Obviously doesn't move a lot, but does a heck of a lot of damage and really needs to be dealt with. So the Gladiators are coming out with what I'd call a fairly mobile composition, right? A lot of heroes that can sort of peek up and back away, and Hydration can take to the skies and avoid that torrent of bullets.
And the hometown crowd here trying to get behind the Gladiators. Give them any type of, positive vibes as you see, the halt comes in, almost ends up killing Hydration there as JHong's getting really low, and see Michelle come in, just body block some rockets, probably keeps JHong alive.
Yeah, I mean, JHong, that's the only reason he's still standing. Hydration gets so much damage, he's almost built up his barrage already. 48% of the Gladiators' damage has been dealt by Hydration thus far. Again, it's like we saw in the previous games, like we saw in map 1. It doesn't matter if you do a bunch of damage, you need to secure kills. That's what Soul failed to do on Ilios, and that's what the Gladiators haven't done yet here.
And I know Bastion now is obviously more deadly as he fires. That'll be the Dragon Strike that comes down from
He ramps up.
Yeah, and his damage gets more accurate. His gun gets more accurate the more he shoots. This will be tank mode. This can be quite deadly. As JHong trying to heal himself up. Oh, okay. He's just going for clips at this point.
Obviously, the projectiles that he fires in tank configuration have a distinct travel time. They drop. This could be nasty though. Barrage coming in, Hydration is shut down immediately low. And that's how you respond. You send your Diva up, say, Michelle, look, you may die in doing so, but you avoid us from getting completely wiped. Michelle, we're still standing. Hannah's found short for now. With Hydration coming back to the fight, the Gladiators still don't have enough to go on with. The Bastion strat, I hate to say it, is working.
And I mean, look how much health he has now with the rally on top. It's going to be very difficult to just try and... Because what do? You don't want to play like a traditional dive against this, because you still have the Brigand play for Soul Dynasty, right? So you have JHong set up there, just standing there with Fissure. Fissure, you see, he just keeps launching the shields up in the sky as Munchkin makes a change over to Widowmaker to try and counter the bar.
But what a perfect situation now. He can do so much work against Hydration. Hydration has to respect the Widow pick so much. But Chaz deals with Flutter up on the high ground, and Raw's on a mission now. We're looking to crunch the Widow. They found Munchkin pretty comfortably here, and perhaps a lot of theatrics for what was a very simple assassination job, but that's fine.
Changes are going to come here for Soul Dynasty, though. You're not going to play this in stage 2 of the map. So, okay, so they're going to opt to play... no, JHong switches over from Ana over to Zenyatta. So you'll have those 3 tanks, those 3 supports. You're going to run Winston here instead of Reinhardt. Hear that ultimate come out from Surefour. Just going to chuck it out because he's going to go back to spawn and change.
Yeah, that ultimate probably wasn't even fired in the direction of the Dynasty.
This guy.
But I mean, I guess, look, I guess you could... it has some psychological impact, I suppose.
They're gonna try Reaper as well. So I think teams are either really believing that Reaper can be a difference maker against these tanks, or they just kind of write it off completely. But
or at least not a liability. We saw Michelle get good value out of it on Horizon Lunar Colony, but there are plenty of ways to sort of sneak around behind your enemy team.
I think in a situation like that, though, you can run Reaper, where you just have to take point A. The fight is played in a really controlled area. Like when it's this large and there's so much area to roam around, I don't know if this is where you run Reaper and they switch off of it right away.
They take to the high ground, the Gladiators, so they back up completely and they opt to go the long way around. Fight over the bridge here. Shaz in a position now where he really needs to try and shut down the enemy tank. Fissure is alive and Raw is not, which means that he's become endangered species awfully fast. Shaz, the Transcendence, but who to use it on? Lost their main tank.
You have to back out. I mean, as soon as you lose Roar and you have no shield, the Discords are just going to come flying. The speed boost is going to come in from Soul Dynasty. They're just going to run you over.
A lot of expectation on the Gladiators this season, man. They're expected to be top 4 by many, including myself. Not a great series from them so far. Here's the Graviton surge. Surefour's taken down by the pin. He was held in place. Fissure got to find his kill. Hydration knocked back. Raw is really just trying to stand tall here, but they're getting run over by Fissure. If you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. He loves to play aggressive. He loves it when these fights break down. Here's a Reinhardt, just gets to hold mouse 1 and keeps swinging for the fence. 1 minute and 40 seconds remain for the Los Angeles Gladiators, and they've not done much to amass much of an ult bank. They switched compositions previously. They've not done nearly as much damage in these fights as Seoul, and they're staring down the barrel of Jaehong's Transcendence and Jex's Sound Barrier.
Yeah, I mean, when the Gladiators get these ultimates, the issue is they may just need to blow a bunch of them to get the payload moving, which doesn't force Seoul to do anything. They can hold on to them, come in, win the one fight they need to with about, 45 seconds to go, and hold them on defense.
Massive pick off though. Jexy goes down to Shaz, almost downrange. The Zen Sniper returns. Fisher somehow staying alive. Transcendence being committed and a lot of healing going his way. Now a Sound Barrier to keep the Gladiators topped up despite the self-destruct that was coming down, and it seems to have worked pretty well. Munchkin by the wayside, Fletter booped around on the payload. Shaz to get the final blow there. And the Gladiators finally break through. But they will still have one more fight before they can access this last part of the map, before they can get that second checkpoint.
And it's kind of the situation I was saying that's lining up here. I mean, you have 40 seconds on the clock. They're going to be able to come out, get another fight. The Gladiators, though, they did end up holding on to some of their ultimates, so that's their saving grace. The Graviton Surge, the Transcendence, and the Self-Destruct. You could probably land a pretty nice grab coming out of here. They may not even be able to touch, and there it is.
Void now needs to combo with Self-Destruct with that grab as well as he possibly can, and it pays off! That's what he was looking for. It had to be a multi-kill or at least get some value out of it. And now the Gladiators know that they will get to continue playing the attack here. Holding onto those ultimates for Seoul seemed good, but a Sound Barrier wasn't going to save him from the grab bomb combo. The silver lining, of course, is that Fisher still has his Earth Shatter. It'll be much more deadly in this part of the map, but the Gladiators, they're happy to keep playing.
And it looks like, Fisher kind of had his shield up in position, but it looks like because the grab is up on the high ground, they kind of fall out of it at some point, so you can...
They get split.
The grab, yeah, and it just splits them off, and it ends up blowing a bunch of them up.
There will have been a roar as well with the displacement caused by the Reinhardt swings. Just as the Graviton expired, would have allowed them to be knocked away when they otherwise would have been held together.
You have to time that perfectly.
I don't think it was intentional, personally.
No, yeah, I don't think it was, but that is as good a timing as you could get if you're the Gladiators.
Ooh, a lot of damage over the back line there of Seoul. Jackson Jaehong looking worse for wear, and even Fisher going to have to take a big step back. Earth Shatter, big one! That's 3 down, but Roar himself is knocked to the ground. With the Transcendence in play, there's not many opportunities for the Gladiators to capitalize on the fact the enemy team are all taking a brief at dirt sleep. They'll keep trying to push up here, though, and Seoul have a Graviton. Munchkin lets it go pretty much straight away. It wasn't even, but it doesn't really do all that much either. Now they're going to play a bit of a do-si-do around the truck, try and force the Dynasty into a bit of an enclosed space and get some splash damage there, but neither team really getting the better of one another now. The payload is rolling in the wrong direction for the Gladiators. They have to keep going.
Well, they know they have to push forward and take this fight and get some kills and then start to worry about the payload. The payload now starts to move. They try and take Blood out. As he had that rally active, they do it, but at the cost of losing Roar.
Hydration looking low, but it's a good Sound Barrier time, and the Gladiators still have 5 plays to work with Void. It's a self-destruct behind the pillar, so no one's going to really get affected by it. Michelle is still healthy enough while Big Goose is trying to boop and bump and do some damage. Fish is low. Nice work by Big Goose there to knock him forward away from his healers. Now the Transcendence are coming out from Jaehong with a self-destruct in over the top. Transcendence wouldn't have saved the Gladiators from that self-destruct, but no one was in line of sight of the explosion. So the Gladiators get to keep fighting. Flanner down. He went for the Bastion. It didn't quite pay off, and Michelle is knocked out of his mech on the payload. The Gladiators, they've finally broken through. Through the breach they go, and they'll get themselves a map completion. Definitely more than they would have expected.
They do complete it in overtime. Jaehong towards the end goes to the Bastion, trying to pick up some kills, but not enough for Seoul Dynasty to hold on.
Thank you, Brandon, for showing us the correct spelling of esports on your t-shirt. One of my favorites in my closet. Shields up, obviously, is what we're seeing mouthed out there in the crowd. And that's what they did, except they used them more as an offensive weapon to barge through.
I believe, Munchkin actually gets his grab eaten by Void towards the end there, yep. There you see, the icon now added to the kill feed.
Yeah, we can actually see that. God bless. The amount of people got to me goes, did you miss that grab on Route 66 4 weeks ago?
Then I gotta,
you know what? Probably did.
I gotta drive home you. You're looking for clips. You're freaking out.
That ain't me, fam. That ain't me. It's all conflict.
Ain't me either. So, we'll now get a chance to see what the Gladiators decide to do on defense. Seems some Bastion from some of the teams here today on Route 66.
Let's talk about that. What is, obviously, we saw Seoul try and use it more liberally, Rawhide. Is that, we're talking about, is that legit as far as you're concerned?
I mean, I don't think
remixed, though.
I don't think we have enough you know, data here to be able to just take a look and see if it's Bastion, to see if it's legit. I mean, look, in theory, it makes sense, right? They're going to play tanks that can't access the high ground. I'm going to put a hero who shred tanks up on the high ground, which they cannot access. In theory, it works. There's a lot of things that make sense in theory, but don't actually work once you go out there. So
Vice versa, to be honest. Gladiators now will be on defense. The phrase shields up, never been more true now. They're trying to fight to stay in this series, take it to a 5th map, really make Soul work for it. We've got Flutter on the Ashe pick again. Quite excited to see this, obviously. She's not super mobile, but you kind of see her as like a midway between like a Widowmaker and a McCree kind of. She had that medium to long range.
They have a ton of just like AoE splash damage, right? When Ashe throws out the dynamite and it connects with a few players, it can become very deadly. Obviously, you know, Coach Gun, you know, to get out of harm's way, you know, and then you also have a primary weapon, which you can just lay down a ton of damage. Then you have Jayhawk now playing Junkrat, the rockets coming down from afar. Where do you even look here if you're the Gladiators?
That's a great question. I guess they realized that, you know, playing this triple tank, triple support comp, or as it may have been sort of, you know, 2 tanks, we've seen Shawfall switch to Sombra now, doesn't quite play out so well when Soul have a lot of damage and the ability to finish kills. Ashe is there, of course, for Flutter, can get those pickoffs, make sure to secure kills. Jayhong, of course, is Riptide pretty darn good, especially if he gets towards that in the next fight. So a lot of ways just to flatten these slower, tankier comps.
I think the thing I'm most impressed with Soul Dynasty here today is just how they've been able to place, all their players have been able to play so many different heroes, and the hero switches at the perfect time. And there with the pulse bomb on a hydration, that's a really nice target to connect with. Now you don't have any, I was gonna say you don't have anybody to deal with him as a flanker. Big Goose though, Battle Lucio takes him out.
And that might have looked a little bit weird to you when you saw Runchkin run, because he queued up the pulse bomb ability. He hit Q before he used his blink. So he sort of estimated that he knew where he'd end up, so we'd get his pulse bomb out quickly. He wouldn't be standing around using it. Riptide doesn't get anything done though. Void able to eat that one up, and then he actually finds its creator. The Junkrat is down. Michelle is in a position to still do damage. A beautiful direct hit. He was hitting some crazy ones over at Ilios earlier on. I think he's a little bit concerned about staying around for this fight, even though he has the barrage. He doesn't want eyes on him when he goes for the ultimate. A lot of damage from barrage, but also makes him very vulnerable.
Probably some changes here for Soul. That is going to be a barrage back in the spot. You're going to see everybody switch up. It's still very interesting that they opt to go to Ana instead of Zen a lot of the times with their 3 tank, 3 support.
I honestly believe it's because, I truly believe it's because, well, they only have 2 tanks, not 3, so I guess they're trying to break through these big bodies is important.
But they do have D.Va there, though. So, I mean, you know, Ana can get her nade eaten up by the D.Va. You don't get a ton of value out of it. You can get dove on by Roar rather easily. And then Ana doesn't have as great a defensive capabilities as, like a Zenyatta, so...
That's definitely a question as well for Danny, if he does get a chance to talk to Soul. See what their thoughts are on that one. Also, no Jayhong's Ana is just...
Oh, you love to see Jayhong.
Here's that prior fight. That was after the EMP went down. No one doesn't like it, really. The Gladiators now set up, and the payload has not made much progress. This is huge. A minute left, or under a minute left for Soul to actually get to this first checkpoint, and then we'll have a map 5 if they fail to do so. Hydration's gone down early, so Jayhong really able to do a lot of work. Is that Ana is definitely a battle Ana if I've ever seen one. Michelle seems to be caught up by Big Goose there on that high ground. Does get desuited. Jayhong playing very close to his teammates here. Knows he needs to be there. He needs to keep that healing coming. Okay. Oh, he puts him to sleep. Nicely done. Raw tried to charge in and get incapacitated during primal rage. That's really going to take a lot of the sting out of what the Gladiators are going to clap back with.
Yeah, one of the things now with nano boost is you get that burst heal when you lay it down on a target. So you connect with somebody like Fissure. You bring a attack to full HP. They will do a ton of work. And so you see he gets the effect of the nano boost. No fear goes right on it. Oh,
it's like you don't know him. What else would you expect? I'm sure Fissure would have been more than happy to put those to bed, and yes, that will be Soul getting that first checkpoint. So that's the first hurdle, you know, jumped over. Nano Boost, they're obviously doing a lot of work with Fissure. On his own, he was able to corral 3 of the Gladiators players away from them.
Maybe the Ana answer is as simple as Fissure wants Nano Boost. He just wants to go.
Well, the thing of Fissure, he's the kind of player that would like a team to be able to play around him or essentially be built around him. So Soul have definitely had to change their structure, I would think, to integrate him a ethically,
I would say it's worth it.
I think so. He's definitely a player that you want to invest in. High economy, but he definitely gives high returns. Flat Graviton straight to the corner of the payload here. Very hard to either one else, Diva. And the self-destruct in over the top. Oh, look, nicely done. Void actually does a one better. We didn't even see where that one came from, but very cute there. Raw jumps up in the air and keeps the shield aimed in the direction of the self-destruct from Michelle. Tell you what, they were caught off guard indeed by Void self-destruct. Beautiful. Now the Gladiators again push forward, make them work for every inch. They've got a minute and 30 left to get to point B, or the second checkpoint. They want to make it costly.
Yeah, I mean, all the Gladiators just want to occupy space. Force them to use some ultimates and to use some ultimates.
That's why we didn't see it. It was so high up. Still managed to catch them out. Brutal. The Soul right now, they don't really have a huge ultimate presence in this next fight outside of that Transcendence. Munchkin also has Rally if he wants to use it, but still Shortbook gets picked off. His grab got eaten as well. That is a horrible start to the fight for the Gladiators. They should have won that one out comfortably, but now no grab and losing their Zaya. Munchkin can press forward. Fisher there has an Earth Shatter, and Munchkin, of course, the Rally is going to be used straight away. That could have gone so well for the Gladiators. It should have. It should have by the books.
Yeah. Well, when the grab gets eaten, it puts everybody in a tough position because you're planning on following up with a lot of damage from the rest of your team.
Right?
So when you go in with the intent to use the grab and then follow up damage, you throw the grab, it gets eaten, and now everybody's standing right in front of them and no way to be able to put down all that damage to the CC's opponent.
The Dynasty getting a bit of a freebie in that last fight. Michelle did a fantastic job to eat the grab himself. Well, we know what Fisher wants.
Big slam.
Pretty much just one thing. I know it's disgusting. He's looking for an Earth Shatter here. Raw actually went for his one there. It doesn't really seem like he got too much out of it there. He used to sort of out of frame. And now Fisher wants to push forward. Flanner also has himself on Graviton, so he just needs to be wary of Void's presence. Here's the grab. Hydration goes down, and Raw was caught in Thunder on the Transcendence, was just a little bit too late from Shaz. The self-destruct over the top doesn't achieve much. Void does not find any Soul Dynasty players unshielded or in line of sight. And with Shaz going down now, this is when he's starting to sweat as a Gladiators fan and player. Soul are knocking on your door, and they're coming for the crowd.
They still have a ways to go. They're going to be able to take the second point, outwork their way towards completion of the map. But only a minute and 20 to go. This is a really difficult part of the map to move past on Route 66. Although it did, although they did not get the hold there, the Gladiators are still in a good position.
Kind of like an early grab, and they should be able to win the fight, and they should be pressing forward. They don't get too greedy. Michelle Fisher put up against the wall, and removed. And that was just a pretty close. Sure, pretty well to identify. It was really cute.
I mean, look, you play the long game. 57 seconds. You move up. You take space. This is going to put someone against the clock. They need to use ultimates to get the payload moving, to get the clock moving. If they don't use the ultimate, they just kind of get the stalemate where the Gladiators build their back up, and they're going to hold them. If they want to use these ultimates, start moving the payload. The issue is the Gladiators will hold there. They have a bunch. Fight for the forward.
Reinhardt's shields are very low. Both of these Reinhardt's don't keep swinging. And it's a sound barrier from the Gladiators to try and dissuade any further aggression. They don't see it happening. They don't want to push forward. Especially with Michelle self-destruct, catching Shaz, and now Raw being down. Fisher knows there'd be no shield to block the Earth Shatter. Even if you wanted to use it in this fight, but he'll save it. The payload was being stored a little bit in the background, but now they'll be on the road. 10 seconds left until they're in overtime.
Big ultimates here for the Gladiators. I think if you see them using it, if they don't win it, that's where you really start to bash the panic. Don't bash the panic. Rally, Transcendence. You're going to have a Graviton Surge, a big self-destruct coming out of the Gladiators.
That's why they win this map and take the map 5 for Gladiators. That's what they're looking to do here. Most of them looking to do this. A Graviton Surge for sure. He'll play from the high ground for the time being. He's not charged up right now. He's not going to be doing a lot of damage. He's going to be doing a personal barrier. That's so cheeky. He's set to long range here. There's going to be a sound barrier down here. He's not going to be lined up. He's still lined up. Straight away anyway. Munchkin pushing forward, but that's pushing forward. The train's anyway. The very time he goes for it. He's trying to go for it. He's ready. He blocks it completely. Now the tank may have turned out. The Transcendence don't change. The Transcendence don't change. The drive is even 6 feet under. 6 feet under. Forced to back up. He has the Discord or whatever right now. That's why I dropped his shield. That's why he dropped his shield back. Before he goes in again. Set in the second corner. Set in the back corner.
They just speeded this up. They just speeded this up. They spread out some of the players, getting the effects of the rally, the effects from the Gladiators, and from the
Gladiators now fighting at full strength again. Full strength again. Comes in once again. Comes in once again. It doesn't work out. Bishop has one of his own. Bishop has one of his own. Taking right stage. Really spikes out of stage. And just shifters. Shifters. 40 behind. Nobody was stunned out of it. Bishop comes in. Bishop either hit the other right. Finding success when they're all in the building. They're all in the building. Dropping the balance. Dropping the body. Late Friday. Will it be enough? Will it be enough on the outside right now? With a transcendental place. That's so durable. That's so durable. They're frolicking through the meadow. Frolicking through the meadow. Now walking through the street. Done it. They finished the map. They finished them. Which means there's more to come. Which means they ain't done yet. Oh, you love to see it with a draw. Oh man. Both teams ran low on time. We're still going to go back in, of course, at 2-1. Both teams will have a minute left. And that's how it will stand. They'll have to try and get as far as they can.
At one point, like everybody, because I like to watch the mini-map during a lot of these fights, and you know, it's crazy. People are everywhere. And the one thing I realized is, Seoul Dynasty, they're all stuck in a Graviton Surge, right? There's one player who's not in it, and it's Michelle outside of his Diva mech. And he's like trying to 1v1 Shervor, and he puts down enough damage to get his mech back and fly back into the fight. Oh man, those type of plays are just unreal. And no, those fights obviously like feel like so long for us, and they're back and forth, back and forth. I can't imagine like playing just the momentum shift of like your emotions, your emotions. Okay, we have the fight. Okay, we have the fight. Like now we're losing the fight. Now our players coming off. Players coming off. It's gotta be. It's gotta be. It's mental. If you're watching the fights going, if you're watching the fights, it's hard to say who's winning. It's hard to say who's winning. We're in the same position. We're in the same position. The players are actually in very similar positions. Very similar positions. Those sort of overtime scenarios. Teams are scenarios will be investing all their resources at each other, to try and get an edge. To try and get an edge. One middle lane. It's who can get the farthest. Who can get the farthest. For this, we might see teams play very close. Soul and very close. Gladiators very close. They close up. They attempted. I mean, you play this close, if you play this close, if you know you're going to get two more, at least one for sure. Winning the first fight in overtime, so this guarantees you a bit of extra, percentage, because and then it's obviously going down as well, right? All it takes is like a Graviton 30 players like Halo, no Wick burns down, that's it. That's all around here. It's all around here. That's go. 20 seconds left. So 20 Gladiators here. Still Gladiators here. Still Gladiators here. We've seen that finish that we've seen overtime. This is actually bad. You're going to die. Everybody dies. Everybody dies. Don't lose players one by one. Now you're going to win one. Now you're going to split it to come back. At least you're splitting to come back. So you'll get a Lucio tax. You'll get a Lucio back in, but get him right back in. Fisher up in the high guard. See Fisher over there right now. He's gotta wait right now. He's gotta wait for the rest. Soul do have one more right now behind that gate. But we have to work with Shaz as a transcendent. Shaz as a training in theory. So theory trying to gauge. Quite a push fight. Quite a war fight. Sure for. Sure the Graviton. So he doesn't lose one. Keep hitting on through that. Keep the soul out through that. They'll find out themselves. Shaz back themselves. We see if his teammates are not watching the teammates are not right anymore. Soul's trapped over the top. He's coming in once. He's leaving it in quick. That is huge. Huge enemy. Fisher can't look to the sky right away. Be a little bit patient there. You see Roar. Sending Michelle all the way back. Gladiators point one. Take point one. They've done it. Still in overtime. The Gladiators are on. So big use there as well. Destroy his head. Definitely feeling the pressure. And I mean, it's a big fight for the Gladiators. It's a big fight for the Gladiators. RYUJEHONG got a strength. Look at Shaz. Look at Shaz. You're going to have another drive. I don't know if Seoul Dynasty. They're going to land. They think they're going to land with Shaz. It's going to have sound barrier and rally. We're in overtime now. We're in overtime. In many events, Gladiators lead or Gladiators don't lead. The rally and then the round like this, you can see Gladiators because he's trying to push the giant. He's trying to push the ball. Fisher are down. Like Graviton surge to our Graviton surge. 2 players down. It's 2 players down. Gladiators. You can continue. It's a really nice position
really nice positioning from Void's actually set up on that bridge right where you see Roar looking at. And when Flutter comes under, he kind of knows that Void kind of knows that Void's ready to just maybe just down and just right down and in, eat that Graviton surge. So he doesn't feel comfortable using it. Shortboard may actually use this for everybody out of that block, everybody up in that block. He's trying to see where people, he's not trying to attack, he's not trying to get caught out in the ways, but he's not popping here, wants to get in some charge, wants to get in some charge, he's going to go to the 27, he's the 27, he's got to be sound, very much done, he's the use it, use it a few times, Michelle gets short, there goes down that much, goes down a ton now, just a thing of the past, pretty average right now, players up on the play, players up on the play, finally arrives back to the upside, right on his behind, right on his behind, take a seat, finally halted.
It is quite a push. Be happy with that.
That's a very strong push, at least in my opinion here, is that they're able to take the first point and then push all the way, probably about 75% to getting, that 50 point. Sign. The Seoul Dynasty will have to match that with only a minute on the clock. It becomes a tough situation for Seoul as well, because what does the Gladiators decide to do? They decide to do something a little bit cheeky on the defensive end. Because really one push, you come out with 3 tanks, 3 supports with a Ryan, let's say, and you try and fight that first fight, and they're running that Bastion on the other side, like, you're already now staring down the battle of 30 seconds on the clock, probably after that fight ends.
Yeah, if you're
everybody
trying to play
dies.
something standard, right, and you just get completely embarrassed.
And then you have to switch, so you reset any type of ultimate build-up you would have had. So I think it's just kind of a guessing game. Like, what do you think the Gladiators do? Do they play something standard? Do they play something a little wacky?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling the Route 66 trap remix. All about it. The Dynasty
might know what they're going to be playing. Until the Gladiators are going to know what the Gladiators are going to stand in. Will they go with the As you sort of speculated about, will they go with some Bastion, some try and catch Soul off guard. Very sensitive. Likely than most to go crazy. The Soul will come out of the gates here, again with a very simple war, and it will be a war of attrition payload over this payload to get it moving. See if Soul has an idea. Close obviously now they see them come out of the train car, so can they break this setup a little bit fast? Gladiators took them a little bit to get going, and all that's a big kill. Roar drop is huge for Soul. I mean, as soon as the Reinhardt goes down, the entire Gladiators are completely exploded, especially very charged up. He will be very charged up at this part of the fight. He would have spent a lot of damage on his projectile personal shield. So that particle cannon is really ramped up. When the Reinhardt's gone, it's going to be looking very, very bad. Could they get a better start? Then they will have to expand here against the Gladiators. Hold on to the Soul. J-Hong essentially doubled up Shaz. That turns the building towards that now. He's got it now. Ready to use. Gonna have to keep Fisher alive. Really, Soul cannot beat the payload. In overtime. Has to stick to it like glue. Just keep on playing it. Just keep on playing it. That overtime bar is good. You see very quickly. You stay on the payload. The longer you stay on the payload, the longer overtime bar is. This payload is allowed to participate if no one is present. He's almost got to stay low. He gets to stay low. He needs to play his control. Break his control. Play something by J-Hong. They've got the provision early on of his own. He's one of his own. So little charges out of this. He's not be a part of this. And not having Soul and not having his ultimates in this fight. Forced to invest heavily. Just transcendence in their rally. Able to hold on. They're able to hold on. It's another big fight with the Soul Dynasty as it is. The Gladiators, you just need to get them off the car, and so it's always as if the moment the Gladiators sort of like that first move, they said, okay, move one, press Q. So they put themselves in a spot now. They're 98 Gladiators. Do what the Gladiators do. They understand sound barrier. They're going to use that. Grab off the map. Down from both sides. Soul right now with a transcend of destructive light. Self-destructive sound from Michelle. Hassan right now. Michelle gets to Giant with the Doctor Roy in the morning. 2 and Corey in the morning. It's going to be Void Nut suited and removed. Soul have to win that fight. There may still be one more to go. The Gladiators Gladiators engaged. The Gladiators engaged that right much closer on this part of the map than Seoul wanted to do on their defense.
How fitting this could come down to Fisher, yeah, the right ultimate, yeah, the ultimate, you got the rally on the board here for Munch. You look across the board, then that really may just be about it here at the end.
See how the Gladiators set up. Oh, the collision, I can feel it. Chad sitting right in the back. Can't afford to give up his left hand setters. Somehow the train setters in this fight, it would be huge. Bishop looking for the shatter here. Vertically, he's moved up vertically. An opportunity. He gets shot. The remark shot. Just with the Gladiators. Taking the push in to get the job done. Gets the other shatter. And the Gladiators were ready shields. They were not ready. Like they should have turned around like that. The Soul Dynasty start the 2019